Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host Chip. What's going on, Chip?
What's up,
Good
Jeff?
to see you on. Man, I'll tell you what's going on. Ripple, XRP. Man, the IMF gets a little crazy sometimes. Right now, they're pushing for global crypto standards. Man, but the one thing that we know is that through the blockchain, through the ledger, you can get full transparency. There's a lot going on building in this space with the XRP ledger, XRP, El Salvador mining their very first Bitcoin with their volcano node. We're going to talk about all that kind of stuff and probably a lot more because there's a lot to go into as usual, Chip.
Let's
So
do
if
it.
you're ready to kick things,
Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Let's
over my
do
words,
it. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's
You
do
can
it.
do it.
Let's
You
do
can
it.
do
Do
it.
it. Do it. Yeah. What's up, fam? Crypto fam. You know the drill. Drop
What
your
is
city,
going
drop
on?
your country in there. Why? Because it's a global community. Why? Because we, the people together, we believe that we will win. We believe that we will win. We believe that we will win. Any questions, Jeff?
No, do you believe we're
Okay.
going to win?
Okay, there you go. We're going to win. We ultimately will win. Why? Because it's up to
Let's
us.
go.
We have the numbers. That's why.
Number one.
So, yeah, man. So you celebrated your birthday last night.
Man, I did. It was awesome. It was outstanding. Family, friends, lots of wine, food. It was
Yeah.
great.
And
One of
unfortunately, I
my
couldn't.
favorite places. It was really cool.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I couldn't be there. I wanted to be there, but we celebrated my dad's 80th birthday last night. And my
Yep.
mom's 79th birthday today, kind of a dual thing, big surprise party. My brother flew in for it. So, Dad, if you're watching, big happy birthday. And Mom also, sometimes they watch.
Yeah,
So,
big happy birthday to your dad and your mom. That's awesome.
yeah, it's sort of weird. It's like a year and a day older. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all cool, man. So, yeah, there's a lot to jump into, man. I mean, it's like, it's so crazy. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. Why don't we jump right into it, Jeff? You got a story queued up? Because I got something queued up. If you wanna, let's jump into something.
Yeah, let's cue some stuff up before we do that. Hey, you know what would be really cool if you guys, if you're brand new here, make sure you hit that thumbs up, hit the subscribe and the bell notifier. That way you get notified every time we post this great content like this. And Chip's about to get into some of this great content.
Yeah, we need some like great content now. But I'll tell you something. So it was weird. So my dad's like, "How come when you guys go live, I don't get a notified?" So I go, "Well, give me your YouTube and your phone." I look on it, and it said subscribe, but he didn't have the bell notifier on. I said, "You got to click this, and then you got to click all." He's like, "Oh, it's not that obvious." I know. That's why Jeff and I always say you got to click the bell notifier, but you got to click all alerts. That way, half hour before it goes live, hey, they're gonna go live in a half hour, and then when we go live, hey, they're live. Because you're busy, man. You don't have time to think about it.
That's right. We're talking about volcano nodes and all sorts of other good stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So look at this right here. El Salvador government spends $4,672 in electricity to mine $269 in Bitcoin. But you want to know the difference of that? It's volcanic power, man. It doesn't really matter what's going to see. This is kind of a silly tweet. It's like, oh, look at how much they spent, 4,000 to mine $200. It's kind of a silly story. But again, this is what happens with the media. This is kind of how they frame stuff, Jeff. And it's like, so what? There was nothing. It's vapor power. It's like, it's phenomenal. They're harnessing the Earth's like just majestic, massive power source, and they're turning it into Bitcoin. To me, volcano power. I see that as a win, Jeff. Any time in any book, I see that as an absolute power win, right?
Power. This is a much more exciting story. They got 0.0059 of a Bitcoin, but that's exciting, man. I mean, to that point, it's $269. But this article that was on CNBC gets it the right way, Chip. Look at that. With power harnessed from a volcano.
Yes.
I mean, this is the first ever that we know of country, because I think there's been some companies that went over to Iceland and used some geothermal power to mine, but this is the first country to mine Bitcoin using volcano power. And they have a volcano node, and it's exciting. Man, it's exciting to me. This is game changing right here. This is everything, because this puts everything front and center, puts digital assets in the hot seat, front and center. And there's a lot more going on. And man, utilizing volcano power, it doesn't get any cooler than that.
No, it really doesn't. And it's like, this is where the innovation comes in. It's like the brilliance. Like you're able to mine something like that. And, like take something that's pretty much dormant and then turn it into something positive, especially for your country, especially for your people. So yeah, I mean, it's slow start, whatever. But you look at Miami. I mean, we did a story last week about Miami coin, and look how it's working on the city. And you're going to see this crop up a lot more. You're going to see other cities, other countries start doing this. Why? Because it's a winner all day long, and a certain amount of it goes directly to the city, and it's done. That's it. It's like the token economics of some of these coins. A lot of ways they did it was that they would have, like for example, I'm trying to think of the one, the moon coin. What was the name of that one? Moon. Go to the moon. Safe Moon. So Safe Moon came out, and then a lot of people followed it. The idea behind it was there was sort of a 10% tax. So if you went ahead and sold, 10% would come out of that, and then it would be distributed to all the token holders. So it kind of like incentivize people to hold them, right? So that's one of the tokenomics. Now with Miami coin, a certain percentage of it, instead of going to the token, it goes to the city, and it's mining money, $5 million, $6 million, $7 million. And the idea behind that, Jeff, if I remember correctly, was to offset taxes so that people weren't paying as much tax, right? Because now you have revenue coming into the city and you're not having less tax. And already one of the great things about living in Florida is we don't have a state tax. We have a lot of tourism. We don't have state tax. When I lived in New York, depending on which county you lived in, could be 8.5%, could be 9%, could be 11% on top of federal tax, which could be upwards of 27, 33%. So a lot of your paycheck is basically gone. 40, 50% of it's gone. And you're like, well, thank you. I get to keep 50% of what I earn. How nice. Thank you so much. Much appreciated, right?
Hey, Chip, we're not going to watch this video, but I'm looking at this picture. And as we're thinking about it, I'm sure it just kind of froze and paused where they were. But this is like a perfect representation of fiat currency.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
This is no volcano power. Volcano power.
It sort of looks that way, Jeff.
It's
I like
just
that.
funny. Happy? No, not so happy. A little upset. Hey, trying to hold on to the brick and mortar and saying, hey, you know what? We got some cryptocurrency going on over here.
Yeah, and it's funny to take a snapshot of that because so many times, Jeff, when we do a video, a lot of times we'll actually like, it suggests thumbnails, and it's always like you or me going, some weird face, it's like, do you want to use one of these or the thumbnail that you actually upload? It's like, well, yeah, we want to use the thumbnail we upload, but it will pre-select the worst absolute frames of you. And it'll be like half of your eyes closed, you just happen to be closing your eyes. You look like you're, so yeah, I can sympathize with that. But yeah, I mean, fiat good, fiat bad, cryptocurrency good. And thank you for the well wishes, guys, for my parents. It was one heck of a weekend. And there was one heck of a surprise too, because neither mom nor dad knew about my my brother and his family flying in. So it was a lot of fun, man. A lot of fun had by all, and what a nice weekend.
And now IRS Media is talking about the hydro dams.
Yes.
Hydro dams are cool, but man, they're not as cool as volcano.
Well, when I lived in, I didn't live too far. I grew up about maybe 15 minutes from Niagara Falls, so I was there all the time, and it was like, especially when I was a kid and I was driving, it was a lot of fun thing to do. Go there, go to Canada, go just walk around. It's a lot of fun. But one of the cool things about living so close there is like you don't really know the power of those falls. And so especially on the Canadian side, you can get in these tunnels and walk out right behind it. So you come out right behind just a cascading wall, and the rumble of it is insane, and you look at that power, and there's a lot of hydropower. There's a whole hydropower plant that harnesses the power from the falls, from Niagara Falls. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, but you're right, Jeff. It's not as exciting. It's good. Not as exciting as volcano power, though.
Yeah, it just
I mean, that's the best of all time. You got to just really love that.
It's just cool.
And so, guys, as we get cranked up, I just want to remind everybody we got some amazing guests coming up this week for you. One is hang on. Yeah, big guests. Okay, so tomorrow night we will have the man, the myth, the legend, the infamous Matt Hamilton will be here on the chain. We'll be breaking down the Apex conference. It just happened last week in Las Vegas, 2-day event. A lot of great stuff came out of that. So Matt will be with us here tomorrow night. And wait
for
for
those that
it.
don't know who Matt Hamilton is.
Matt Hamilton runs Ripple X, and you know him as @Hammertoe on Twitter. But I think everyone's pretty familiar with him. If you don't know him, you know, we can throw his. But he'll be here tomorrow. You'll learn all about him. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, hands
big
loaded.
shout out to Hands Loaded for helping get that set up.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
A little excitement there too.
Yeah, guys, and you guys, you know, and Matt was here the other day, and it was really great to see him here. And you know, you guys sort of initiated that, so we always appreciate that. And a lot of, like I said, a lot of times. And Thursday night, we had another help from one of the OGs in the space, which we'll tell more about on Thursday night. But Jeff, hang on. You want to go ahead and say who we have on Thursday night? Spill it, Jeff. Go ahead.
None other than ready. Get the drum go. 2 attorneys, 3 opinions with Jeremy Hogan and John Deaton.
Yeah, man.
How amazing is that? Right here on the chain Thursday night. Gasparino is that'd be awesome too.
We're still working on Gasparino though, man.
Still working on it.
Still working on that. And there's a potential of a really cool Wednesday guest, trying to lock that down. But yeah, I gotta say, look, it's really been amazing. Just the quality and of people that are coming on the chain. You know, it's really great that we're able to, you know, have this opportunity to talk to these people. But you know, Matt's great. I'll tell you what, if you remember, Jeff, we ran 2 meetups, and we'll probably do more of those. Ooh. We're getting ready to launch something which is kind of cool. And once we do that, we're going to have like a quarterly meetup. And Matt Hamilton came to 2 of them, and it was amazing. So he just like ran the room, and you know, it's where we can all sit on talk on video if you choose. If you want to just be audio only, fine. If you want to just listen, you can listen too. But yeah, just very generous with this time. Came to our meetup. It was a virtual meetup. Obviously, we're coming from all over the world, but really a lot of fun. So we're super excited about that. And again, thanks to everybody too that helped, you know, in any way to put it together.
Yep,
go ahead and throw that up, Jeff.
Hey, I just want to say I'm hanging out with Jim D next week because, man, look at this. He was out boating on the intercoastal, bar hopping. Man, I think we need to pay a visit to the Cape Canaveral.
Yeah, we got to hang with Jim D up there for sure.
We'll go hang out with him on the boat and do a little tiki bar hopping.
I like that a lot. Me likes it a lot.
Especially if we're over on like that whole Sebastian kind of river area. That place is awesome.
Oh, there is really beautiful. Man, so many great places of Florida. I mean, there's so many quality, amazing, cool places, which I love. I wanted to jump in this story right here, Jeff. This one's kind of interesting. It's I'm kind of okay. So I'm going to jump into it. There's some things that I'm sort of. So anyway, it's like XRP stays above $1 as Ripple releases XRP ledger upgrade. So.
What's that about?
Reports reveal that Ripple has upgraded its XRP ledger, putting XRP under relatively strong buying pressures. Okay, so let's break that down, right? So a little bit. So XRP traded about $1.04 or $1.05 right around time. We're writing this daily trading about $4 billion for the day. It's up 2%. Market cap of $49 billion. You know, we've seen XRP up over $100 billion. So this is really kind of low on the trading side. But what they're really talking about
right now.
And what they're talking about is right here is like, it's not really an upgrade to the, I guess it is in a way. It's a little bit misleading because federated sidechains are what are going to connect to the XRPL. However, it's not an upgrade to the XRPL itself because they don't want to mess with the XRP ledger. The XRP ledger, and this is one of the things I like about it. It's like, well, let's have it do this. Let's have it do that. Can it slice apples? Well, I don't know. Can it bake bread? That's not the point. The point of it is it's great the way it is. The whole introduction that David Schwartz introduced was the whole federated sidechains, and this is the great idea. And we'll talk a little bit more with this with Matt tomorrow. But this was introduced, the concept in June, and it will enable DeFi, federated finance or DeFi smart contracts within the broader XRP system. And what's cool is you could spin up one of these sort of side chains that has a lot of utility and can do a lot of things. You might spin it up for one purpose and then close it down. There's so much power and so many things you can do with it, and it's really going to change the sort of the ecosystem.
That's right.
So yeah, enhancements.
As Johnny Crypto saying, it's an enhancement.
Right, it's an enhancement to the XRPL, but you know it's a little bit misleading when they say it got an upgrade. No, it didn't really get an upgrade, but it is an enhancement, and the sidechain works together with the XRPL. but they call it a side chain for a reason, because they're not really messing with the actual implementation of the XRP ledger.
And see what happens, Chip.
Yeah.
Too many
That's what happens.
tweaks, and you'll end up with another Ethereum. So
Potentially that could
you gotta be
happen.
careful. Got to be careful, and then it takes a while, especially when they're like trying to get 2.0 rolled out, and it still isn't rolled out.
Yeah, so this is kind of the best thing right here. David Schwartz, sidechains will expand the use case of the XRPL, and that's probably the most appropriate statement right there. By using sidechains, developers can easily tailor chains to fit their own needs for private networks, security, trading, DeFi. I mean, really, that's what we know now, but who knows where the sidechain is going to go. And when it comes to DeFi, implementing Ethereum smart contracts on top of the XRPL would allow developers more powerful apps in the DeFi ecosystem with interoperability across chains. Now, Jeff, I want to ask you about this. So I know there's been a lot of talk about the interoperability of using Ethereum on top of the XRPL. Does that seem like an extra step, or does it? I mean, to me, it seems a little bit like an extra step, trying to take something legacy and make it work. Now, I understand why you would want to do that, right? The fees are lower, the potential of it's a little bit lower. You're still dealing with Ethereum. Is that the
it's
best?
kind of like spend the bits, where you're moving Bitcoin across the ledger. So I think that if we go back to the basics, and you look at my opinion on it anyways, you look at Bitcoin as the significant store of value, Ethereum, its primary use case as is building out smart contracts, and obviously being able to build out other tokens on top of it, and other projects on top of Ethereum. So that's significant. Forget about cost and all of that, but that's what that platform does very well. And then you've got the XRP ledger, which moves money, and it's really insignificant, as to which currency it's moving, and it exchanges it. It does it rapidly, so it's the perfect platform, whether you're dealing with Ethereum, Bitcoin, or other. But I think bringing in the side chains, and integrating the smart contracts, across the ledger, also then gives you more utility when you can utilize the smart contracts that are already built and existing, that are utilizing Ethereum. Because think about staying relatively agnostic, and then being able to tie into all these other projects, because they realize that you're not going to get, every company isn't going to leave Ethereum and say, we're all going to build on the ledger. There's going to be some people that want to use Ethereum, especially first mover advantage, and they're going to continue using it. They've already invested in that project, and there's going to be a lot more over time. And then with what they're talking about, being able to move Ethereum, being able to integrate the smart, and that's also what Flare was talking about. That's also what Polygon has been working on, because they realize you got to take these platforms that are almost established as walled gardens, to, in a sense, and then you want to become agnostic and start plugging them all in. And that's the future, and that's where it gets exciting. So there's never, I don't ever, view it as one is inherently bad. There's a lot of people beating up on Bitcoin or Ethereum because of cost of transaction and speed, but overall the project and the concept is very sound, behind the technology. So
then there's this one. Yeah, well said, Jeff. That was very well said, and I agree with everything. Fine scotch, Adderall, and crypto day trading. What could go wrong? I mean, that seems perfectly normal to me. It's like a normal day. Thank you for that, Speedboat. Seems perfectly normal. But when we jump into this, and Jeff, to your point, additionally, we're developing a sidechain for the Ethereum virtual machine, the EVM.
Mm-hmm.
XRPL developers will be able to build whatever they want using Ethereum smart contracts, hooks, smart transformers. And the best way to engage a community, and this is like to your point of what Polygon's done, and like a lot of stuff started moving over to Polygon. Why? Less fees, for a lot of the same reasons. So what you want to do is you want to go legacy. It's kind of what Ripple Net in the beginning. It's like, it's a messaging platform, but there's another component that will allow you to use on-demand liquidity, and will use XRP as that bridge currency for the interoperability. And what they're creating here with the side chains in conjunction with the XRPL is the interoperability. And interoperability simply means you're able to go from either a fiat, a currency, whatever it may be, a cryptocurrency, and it could even be a different fiat from a different country, or even in so a sense you might do Ethereum, but it might end up being Bitcoin, or it might end up being anything else. And that's what the interoperability brings you. And I think that's what's great. He says the future of XRPL mainnet may be shaped by the successful features on the sidechain. According to RippleX, federators would connect the sidechains to XRPL, which are software tools run by parties that own the validators, at least one of the sidechains. Schwartz previously explained on a blog post, XRP issued tokens would be able to move between the sidechains and XRPL as if they were in their own blockchain. So this kind of development is really a strong development, and where it's going, it's really phenomenal, Jeff.
That's it. It's very, I'm liking to say, I really like to see, the development where things are going, and especially, as we start looking around and you look at, some of the things, and I referenced it yesterday, talking about the raise of the debt ceiling and, some of the things that we're hearing out of, some of the politicians like Treasury Secretary Yellen. Whoops. Hang on a second. All of a sudden.
By the way, big shout out to K-HUD for that support. Appreciate that. This looks like a super sticker. Can't really see it in here, but thank you for that. Go ahead, Jeff.
On here? I'm
what you got there?
I was opening up this article, and all of a sudden everything is going crazy.
Oh.
But it was interesting. So this came up. So there's a couple really interesting, developments. One is this concept of walk-in cryptocurrency exchanges. So they're becoming like brick and mortar exchanges for people, and this is up in Canada, to where people can come in and bring money, credit card, whatever, and they can come into a physical location to buy digital asset. And it's an interesting way of doing it. Not sure how long it'll be around, but maybe in the short term, people are seeing mechanisms and ways to actually get involved and and do something positive in the space, and maybe make a little bit of money while that's happening. But I'm looking at a lot of the things that we're talking about, like the enhancement of the ledger, working with Ethereum, some of the significant things going on within Bitcoin. And then there's always this pushback and resistance when they talk about, oh, we're protecting retail investors and it's not safe and you have to be wary, and et cetera, all the FUD in the space. And then this happens. A Bank of America customer says she transferred hundreds of dollars from her account before being made aware of a system outage. Claims funds can't be located. So now all of a sudden, moving money from one bank to the other, and the money can't be located. And so she's saying that there was a major outage with Bank of America where they said they were going to be down. Nobody had access to, in a certain region, to Bank of America. You couldn't use credit card, debit card, or not credit card, but debit card, and go to the, and basically the bank had issues for a period of time. 8 hours later, she's complaining here, but it said here the customer didn't realize there was an outage until she attempted to transfer $700 from her Wells Fargo account using the Zelle app, but the money never deposited into her Bank of America account. So you look at that, and I'm saying even when you're using Zelle, even when you go to transfer it into your bank, there's zero transparency of the transaction, because you basically are moving it utilizing a phone number, and then there's really no way to retract it, or an email. There's no way to retract it. There's really no mechanism to say, here's its processing, it's getting authenticated. All these things are happening. It just goes, and then you ask the person, hey, did you get it? Did you get it? Did you get it? Oh yeah, I got it. Oh, that's awesome. Went through quick, but here's a perfect scenario where, hey, even banking with Bank of America, they're having issues.
And the thing about, and Jeff, to your point, it's like, you're right. All she knows is she transferred it. It didn't hit her thing. And Bank of America's going, well, they didn't know there was an outage. Well, no, that's the whole point. Where was the transparency? You and I ran into something with our bank, and it was like, well, something happened. There was a failed transaction, and there's no notice, not from our bank, You know, it's like,
Nothing.
so you think
Zero.
about stuff like this. So we see firsthand that, well, where's the notice? Where's the little app? If I have the app and I'm transferring it on a phone or the computer, shouldn't it be something someone up saying at the top, we have a global outage, any money you transfer? I mean, it's normal, simple things you do, but they're like, oh, well, she didn't know. Like she's supposed to know, Jeff. They didn't know there was an outage. My God, what the hell's wrong with her? All
So
she
then
knows
we
is she
realized,
for 700, which is a
yeah,
significant amount of money, and it didn't show up.
it didn't show up and she might not get it. And then she goes on Twitter and it says somebody wrote, not the Bank of America app, not working, and tell me I don't have an account. So they
God,
try to
oh
use that. Oh, no, sorry,
man.
you don't have an account. And then someone else said Bank of America app not working on the day all bills are due.
They're
And,
right. And who gets screwed?
so it's crazy, right? And then, you hear this gang up, like, let's see, Elizabeth Warren, who came out against Coinbase and some of the others when she said, well, I had my last $100 and I bought some cryptocurrency the night
Oh, boy.
before. And then the next morning, the value dropped and I tried to log in and sell my crypto, but then I couldn't access my exchange. And oh my God, they're so evil and they're horrible. And here you go, Bank of America, all this situation, regular banking. It shouldn't happen in regular banking, according to all that logic.
Yeah.
But it happens in regular banking. It's software generated. They didn't do a good job notifying their customer base. Coinbase is trying to do a better job with a phone number. Many of the digital asset exchanges are still in their young stages and they need to do a better job with customer service. We all get that. They have software issues and glitches. We get that. But now we're seeing, hey, you know what? It happens over here with the banks. It's happening over here in the digital asset space. Nothing's perfect. And everybody has to really acknowledge that, except the difference, Chip, is that when you get into the crypto space, you start getting transparency.
Well, yeah,
You start,
exactly.
getting some understanding. And look at what you went through when you moved some funds over to an exchange and you're trying to reach them. And from a customer service perspective, it was difficult, but at least you could dig into the ledger and you could say, hey, here's where I made the transaction. Here's where you received the transaction. I'll figure out how I get my money back.
No, exactly. And it all worked out. But I want to just, so here's Alex D Vlogs, another awesome YouTuber. If you want to get lifted up, you got to follow Alex D. Just go over and click over the very great video, guys. If you're not following, you need to take it easy. Remember, one of the things he signs off with in every video, and it makes me smile and laugh every time. He goes, I don't give a, but he says the word, what you do with your money. And he doesn't. He's trying to that's another way of saying this is not financial advice, but this is the right advice. Why? Because Alex D is not advising you to do this or buy that or do this or you should do this or you shouldn't do this. He's not the nanny state. He's letting give an F what you do with your money. Why? Because it's your money. You make the decision. You're an adult, or maybe you're not, but you're old enough to know better. So go ahead and make the decision. So to me, it's another way of saying this is not financial advice, which I like. So thank you for that, Alex D. Appreciate that.
And you know what else the people are old enough to do when they log into the channel? They've never been here before. They can hit that thumbs up. They can hit that red button that says subscribe and the bell notifier. That really helps, especially if you're brand new, never been here before. Hey, subscribe to the channel. It's really cool. And then you get cool comments like this from Norazua Asri. Probably butchered the name, but was that Norazua, right?
Norazua Asri, yeah, something like that.
Yeah. It says here, good conversation, professionally done. Appreciate it. Thumbs up to you. Unlike some other YouTubers that will scream in the middle of the conversation. Kudos,
Jeff,
guys.
hang on a second.
So,
No,
Jeff,
I'm going to write this down. I'm going to write this down. No screaming in the middle of a conversation. Man, we don't want to do that because that would be really big. And Norazua would be like, I'm out. No more screaming.
Chip,
Well,
I'm done,
we do.
Chip.
We scream at the beginning of our fun, and we Chip. He's always shouting me out. But yeah, that's a good observation. I want to play something, Jeff. This is like the shortest video clip we've ever played on here, and it sort of made the rounds. And just notice, and I tweeted it out, and I said he can't contain his excitement. So I'm going to play this. It's about 5 seconds long. But let's listen to it.
Fantastic to be here. It really is just.
Well, I can't hear it.
Just wonderful.
I will say, he goes, it's fantastic to be here.
Can you turn up the
I
volume?
I can't. Unfortunately, I can't because whoever got the clip doesn't know how to adjust the volume. Amateurville.
So
And
what does he
sometimes
say?
you play it.
Can you
I'll play it back and I'll do it exactly how he does it.
It is fantastic.
It is fantastic to be here.
Just
It's
just wonderful.
It's just wonderful.
it is fantastic.
That's what he says. So,
It really-
and we kind of make fun of it, but you know, the bottom line is it doesn't matter how you present. It's kind of a joke, a little bit joking around, but he got into it, man. And David launched into it, and you know why? He's a genius level. And a lot of people are like goofing on him, like, well, and who cares, man? He brought the knowledge, dropped the knowledge, and this is the man behind the federated sidechains. Comes from his brain. This right here will live on in infamy, and it will be one of the motivating factors that is going to push, because XRPL in itself is brilliant, but the federated sidechains, and when you hear David break down why did he choose federated, you know, and the whole idea of the federation, he went and launched into a whole sort of Star Trek theme, and the federation's a grouping of all. I mean, it's a brilliant conversation, and one of the things I love about David is he's always dropping knowledge. But this federated sidechain thing, I can't tell you how excited I am about it. I think it's going to revolutionize and forever change what we have coming, because you look a year from now, we're going to look back at that and goes, who remembers before we had federated sidechains? Nobody does. And it lives in his head, and he's a genius, and it's like amazing stuff.
And I'll tell you what, Chip, you know, that technology is amazing, but if it wasn't for this technology that I want to shout out real quick, that would never have ever come into existence. And you know what technology that is, Chip?
I think I have an idea.
Cassettes, Chip.
Cassettes.
Yeah. The usual, sir.
Please.
Please.
If it wasn't for that technology, we wouldn't even be sitting here talking.
No, it's strong technology. I mean, there's no doubt about it, Jeff. It's really something phenomenal, right?
Yeah, imagine that. There's probably people on here right now that are like, "What's a cassette?"
Cassette.
You ever seen one of those things?
Yeah, and the worst thing about cassettes, if you left it like on the dashboard of your car, it would start squeaking really bad. Oh. And then when the tape came out and you had to use a pencil. Now, whoever figured out that a pencil had the exact same dimensions to wind the cassettes back into there when it came out and it got all jumbled up, or if it ever got stuck in your tape player, you're like, no.
Oh, yeah. Remember those days you'd pull it out and it would just be like straight.
It was one of the worst things ever.
Like trying to take it. Oh my God. You grab the pencil or a pen and you start
Jeff, I think we're dating ourselves here, but that's okay, Jeff.
Hello.
That's okay.
Hello.
Is that the SEC, Jeff? You got him?
The SEC. Yeah, I got the SEC on. I got
you got Gensler?
I've got Gary.
Did you tell him it's patently false? His statements?
It is patently false.
Yeah, it was so great having decentralized Dan on.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to play another video. I kind of came across this in a weird way. You know, sometimes you go down rabbit holes, you click, and you end up finding something. You're like, this is kind of cool. The whole idea of this video, it's a very short one, but I think there's a nice message here. Making money isn't about luck. So I wanted to play this, and Jeff, get your thoughts with this. Another short little video.
People think making money is about luck. It's not. It's about becoming the kind of person that makes money because it's just a skill set. You know, in 1,000 parallel universes, you want to be wealthy in 999 of them. You don't want to be wealthy in the 50 of them where you got lucky. So we want to factor luck out of it. Build a unique character, a unique brand, a unique mindset where then luck finds you. You put yourself in a position to be able to capitalize on that luck or to attract that luck when nobody else has created that opportunity for themselves.
It was a cool little positive message. What are your thoughts?
Man, I love that. It's so true. You know, and one of the things that, you know, if you put positive vibes out into the atmosphere, positive things come back. If you put negative vibes out into the atmosphere, negative things are going to come back. And it's hard. It's sometimes very hard, you know, to visualize that. And I know we probably all have gone through those periods of time. And I know that when I get into that mindset, you know, then I immediately change it, you know, and it's amazing, you know, how that can have an impact, you know, on you. You know, and it's obviously one of the things that was said there, Chip. It would be good to get your feedback on this too, is that you put yourself already in a position to take advantage of things that you set up. Now, if you don't take that first step, you have to be positive. You have to take that first step to create an environment that can then attract it, but then you have to be prepared to get it when it comes to you. That to me, it's really deep and meaningful, you know, and people, you know, I think people should hear that, you know, multiple times over to figure that one out. I like it.
No, and you know what I liked about it was it said a lot with very few words, and that's something I always like, things that are very to the point and not go on with some long preamble, unlike we do. But that's okay. It's an hour to fill. But the whole idea of that is, like you said, that positivity. It's like surround yourself with positive people. Negative people in your life, look, they're only going to bring you down. What are you getting into crypto for? Why are you doing this? Whatever. Sometimes it's your family. You can't get rid of your family, so you change the subject. You find out what the things you can agree on, and you don't waste your time talking about the things where you got some disagreement or you're bashing heads. You catch a leopard.
Or chip. If you're lucky, you catch a leprechaun, but you got to go out and put your
Yes.
plan together in order to catch the leprechaun. It's like when you see a rainbow and you know there's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, you have to set your plan in motion on how you're going to get to the end of the rainbow and get that pot of gold.
It's really hard to get that. And sometimes, you know, it's like you drive all around. You're like, damn it, you never get to that. That's the whole point, is that
Yeah, I've tried so many
it's,
times.
yeah, you're never going to find where
Never
it
gonna
ends because it's an illusion of where it is, number one.
Even
So
though, dude, even though I've got this amazing picture, I'm gonna have to find it and I'll bring it on. We're in Iceland and we're driving down this road and it's just like almost empty. Like it's a single lane road, green fields on both sides, plush, overcast, probably about 45 degrees outside. And all of a sudden there's a rainbow that's right there, huge rainbow up in the sky that ends. I've never seen the end of a rainbow like this, right there on in front of us.
get
Like, you know, I
out,
mean,
dude.
but I
Was
couldn't get to it.
no
Obviously, I
pot of
tried to get,
gold.
but it was I looked. There was no pot of gold.
Hmm.
Tried to got my camera zoom lens. Was looking for the leprechaun and the pot of gold, but it was, man, it was the coolest thing. That was cool. And then I saw a nighttime rainbow. Like the sun had already set, but yet, you know, it was kind of rainy a little bit. That was over here, and I saw a rainbow, and it was amazing. Man, sometimes rainbows are really cool. It's the little things to appreciate, you know, that
That sounds
you
awesome,
know,
Jeff. You got to find that
yeah,
picture so
man.
we can take a look at it.
I'm gonna find that picture. It was really cool. And then Alex Yee was talking about, you know, rough time back in the 80s. We grew up as tough kids, you know, not like the kids today. You know, it's like, you know, we had cassettes or no cassettes, and you know, you had to look through encyclopedias that were made out of paper to
Yeah.
find stuff. And check this out. Very easy hydroponics, Alan is saying, I want to know if either of you, if either one of you looked into Zelle payments. Most of the banks have this free service. I've asked myself many times how it's free and why it's so fast. It's got to be XRP or XLM.
Yeah, but the thing is, the settlement, from what Jeff and I understand, at least what I'm aware of, is the settlement doesn't happen. It's an agreement between the banks that they're going to send the money, they're going to receive it. So to me, it's just a messaging system. They get it and they settle it in the background. So that's how it's free. And why are they doing that? Because they want to keep it bank to bank. You've joined this conglomerate of banks. You're moving it from one bank to another bank. It's sort of an agreement between the banks. You know, they're not getting into payments. They're not getting into, it's like, hey, I want to send, you know, like I have a contractor. Hey, do you use Zelle? Yeah, I use Zelle, or I use PayPal, or I use this. And you send them the payment. Oh, hey, which, you know, is your email or your phone. And it's so easy to do on the app. You plug it in, you find their name, usually has their picture if they upload one. You click send. Not too much longer, they get it. But are they really getting the settlement? They're not. It's not settling. So that's where, now, could it settle? It absolutely could settle. You know, it could settle using something like XRP with on-demand liquidity, but it probably doesn't settle for 3-4 days later. But it's an agreement between the banks. So if you join the network of Zelle in the US, it's like, yeah, you get the money instantaneously. You can use it, but it's probably either some kind of pre-funding or that bank has an IOU and they send it later. Now, I don't know how long it takes to settle that, but it's not instant. It's not an instant payment. So that's one of the things we know about that. So
Yep. That's spot on.
yeah, but it's look, I use it all the time, but it's, again, it's a very limited thing. I mean, it's like, yeah, Jeff, I'll send you, you know, $100, and you want to send it to me. And the cool thing is, there's no fees coming out of it, like PayPal. You know, me as a sender, I can choose to pay the fees, or I can choose to do it the other way. So
Big shout out to K HUD.
Hey HUD for the
K
second one.
HUD.
Nice, beautiful.
K HUD for the second one.
Okay, HUD. Did we miss this one? We missed this one too. XRP Speedboat. Thank you for the support. Now starting to sound like the high school grad platitude speech. Jeff, what we were doing, a platitude speech? I didn't even recognize it.
Apparently we did.
I think that was the video. It's like the video is like, go out there and crush it. You know, it's like You get in front of there and someone does the the big speech, and you're like, I can't wait to get out of here, and then you sort of remember it years later. It's not like you ever remembered 100%, but there's always like some
Dude, Devon Steve over here in '84, when I got married, Encyclopedia Salesman called. It came with a service where you filled in a ticket and asked any question you wanted to. Dude, that's
early
imagine that.
Google, right?
Man, that's like, yeah, what a great service that was. That's
Well,
like,
Jeff, as a kid, I was like I was questioning everything. Like, I questioned every single thing teacher said. Asking, well, why? And it even goes on to this day, so much so that like my doctor and I have had a falling out, right? Because I'm like, well, I'm asking him questions about what about this and what about that. He's like, you're fine, man. Get out of here. You're fine. No, but I want to know how this test works. Does it do that? No, he goes, get the app out of my office. Like, he starts screaming at me, and I'm like, this is my doctor telling me this, right? He's like, kid, why do you ask so many questions? I'm like, I just want to know, man. I just like have an inquiring mind. I want to know. I'm just curious. He goes, there's nothing wrong with you. Everything's cool. And I'm like,
sweet.
but don't you wonder like what happens underneath that? So yeah, I was like that in school, when it was like when you're younger and it's like you're living without tech. It's not you just Google it. I mean, what happens today is someone will ping me, either a friend or like somebody from in a professional manner, be like, hey Chip, what about this? Blah, 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 blah. And I'll be like, there's that great service, let me Google it for you. And you go Google it. And so when they get it, they click the link and it says, here, let me Google it for you. And it goes up to a search bar, it types it in and hits search. Because I'm like, we're living in an era where at the very least, you can search for it on Google first, give it a shot. If you can't find an answer on the internet, people all the time, they go like, I couldn't find the resolve. And I like do one simple Google search, but part of it is you got to be careful about, you use keywords when you're searching, right? So you use keywords to try to find it, use try different things. They're like, I couldn't find them. Like, I found it in 3 seconds. It's not that hard. I mean, I typed in, what is blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that's the problem. There's too many words in there. It's too vague. Nobody knows what that's about. And so that can happen. So I wanted to play this video. DAI actually tweeted this out. He said this was from today. So I don't know. I'm going to go with it. But I wanted to share this because it kind of has this has this feeling, Jeff, that there might be something going on with, I mean, we've suspected in the SEC, there seems to be some clashing going on. And Hester Peirce, she seems to be just kind of like a badass lately. Like, you know what? I'm going to go with what the gut tells me. I'm crypto mom. I'm going for it. And so I kind of like this sort of approach that she has, but I wanted to play this little video here. Here she is. It's a very short video, but let's listen in.
My particular concerns is that I think a lot of people are innovating in areas outside of the security space precisely because we haven't provided the clarity we should be providing.
Yeah, you've been on this point for a while, and I think it's a very strong one. The chairman in.
It says right there, Jeff. Look at that. SEC. This is the what they throw up on the screen. SEC Chair Gary Gensler says crypto market won't last long outside a regulatory framework. Here's the crusher, right? The skull crusher, the destroyer of dreams, destroyer of hopes. He's like the evil scientist that comes in and wants to destroy the world, right? I mean, if this guy was around during the Clinton administration, he would have destroyed the internet, and we wouldn't have, probably been as far as we are. Well, let's finish. Let's listen to his question here.
Mr. Negative.
Comments about, I think a couple of weeks ago, took issue with the idea that the SEC has not been forthcoming and that they've been very clear on what their position is on, largely through some of the commentary that's happened since the ICO boom. But you're saying it seems not enough. Can you elaborate? What more should the SEC be doing in terms of guidelines and clarity?
Well, one area where the chair and I think, don't see eye to eye is the lack of clarity around when something is or is not a security, and what actually is the security at issue when we're talking about these token offerings. So I do think that we could provide some more clarity in that space.
Jeff, thoughts?
We need some clarity in that space.
Yeah, but I mean, look what she's saying. We don't see eye to eye, and the problem I have is when is it a security and when is it not a security? And people have tried to nail down Gensler for this for a long time. When is it a security? Is it a security now? Because if you ask the question to Gary Gensler, is XRP a security now? The definitive answer is absolutely not in any universe or world that you could possibly imagine. And this is what I like about Hester Peirce. She's like she's saying we don't have clarity. We're not providing clarity. And the point of it is like, when is it a security? And so I do think there's a little bit of a maybe trouble in paradise over there. I mean, she's coming out outspoken
there's been trouble in paradise over there
all the time, Jeff, about Gensler, right? I don't think she cares for him too much. Your thoughts?
No, I mean, I agree with that. And it's interesting because I went back and I listened to, some of the feedback that he gave to Decentralized Dan as he was talking. And, in that whole, conversation, with, he was mentioning how, and he said this multiple times, that, he believes that the majority of digital assets are securities.
Right.
That's his belief. That's it. So it's not based on in-depth research. It's not based on, discussion amongst the commissioners of the SEC. It's not based on discussion, in-depth analysis in the Financial Services Committee, where the Token Taxonomy Act is sitting, as they really start digging into it and trying to figure out some clarity. It's just his belief. And he never comes out and explains the belief. That I want to see a very clear cut, definition. I want to see a multi-page response on why he believes these are securities. And I'd like to hear from him, just like with Coinbase. He said it's a security, and if you follow through, we're going to sue you. All right, well, why don't you explain it? Why don't you explain it to the public? Same thing with XRP. Just explain to the public why you believe in depth, line by line, not the attorneys. I want to hear it directly from Daddy G, because Daddy G is the one who made the statement that he believes something. It's his opinion. Now let's figure out why his opinion may or may not be accurate, because then people can say, hey, I agree, or hey, I disagree. And now let's bring it to the commissioners and let's have the commissioners discuss. It's not up to Daddy G to make these decisions. This is
Daddy
why
G.
there is a board of commissioners. There's 4 of them. He's the chair. The commission get together and they discuss. Then it goes up to vote, and then they come out with an official objective by the SEC. It's not run as a dictatorship where the chair should decide everything. And I think there's a lot of issue that you could take, with that, Chip.
You can take total umbrage with all that, because, and then Jeff, again, well said. I have nothing really more to add to that than I agree with all your points there. Here's another one of Hester Peirce. Okay, this is her from the 1st of October. And again, we're starting to see a narrative build here. Okay, so what happens if you play in succession all of these videos that she's putting out, or you go back to the July when both Peirce and you had another commissioner, Roisman, coming out saying, hey, well, there's no clarity. I mean, you can't really expect something to happen, no clarity. So no clarity from commissioners within the SEC. But then what the one thing I would say to back up your, sort of reinforce what you said, is that when you're vague about stuff, that's the same thing as not providing clarity. And Gary Gensler is very vague. Well, it's an investment contract. And John Deaton so eloquently pointed out when he was on Fox Business saying, hey, well, how does that if you don't even know who Ripple is, and you bought XRP off an exchange, and you have no clue who Ripple is, you're not dealing with Ripple, how is that an investment contract? And how are you counting on, the success of others to have some sort of return? So, but he says it in such a, well, we believe and Jeff, he goes, we believe they're this, we believe they're that. Well, why do you believe that? Well, and why is it a security? And why are most of them securities?
Yeah, and why do we have to go based on his belief and not based on their research and analysis? I want to hear, we had an in-depth discussion amongst the experts in the space, because I do not see Gary Gensler as an expert in the space, so that's like a major issue. So if we don't see him as an expert, then he needs to turn to the experts. When did he sit down with the leadership within the crypto space and say, hey, we got to figure this out, and now we're going to bring it to the commission, and we're going to go out and we're going to get all the information we can possibly gather on this space, and then we're going to come up with an opinion. But that's not how he's done it. He's sitting there on his high horse because he taught at MIT.
Jeff, there's every time you mention Daddy G, like you were just nonchalant. Like with Daddy G, it's like I want to just burst out laughing because it's so funny. But again, the reason we call him Daddy G or Daddy Gensler is because we go back to the hearing where Kennedy called him out and said, are you everyone's daddy? No. Well, then why are you interjecting your personal opinions and everything? That was another magical moment. But I love this. I love this from XRP Speedboat. I think Hester rides a Sportster on the weekend. Maybe a
What's that?
convertible. I mean, who knows? She rides a Sportster on the weekend. That's very possible, man. Yeah.
Look at TI calculator. You guys are permables.
Sweet. I think that's a good thing, Jeff. I hope that's a good thing.
I like being a permable.
Yeah, permeable, man. Why not? Look at this one here from David Zalazar. He says, it's what you do with the asset that defines when it engages in securities type agreement for tax purposes. Congress needs to iron out who gets what tax percentages. Yeah, that's part of it. I mean, it is sort of a true thing, but you're right. I mean, Congress, but the thing about Congress, they're so worried about other stuff. We've got Reg Mabry. Thank you for that, Reg. Gary Gensler is not a lawyer. We let Daddy G talk law when he is not. And that is a very, very good thing. And if you guys saw the exchange between Ted Cruz and the guy that runs the Health and Human Services,
oh my God!
And one of the things that said, well, it was kind of what Reg is going after. He said, "Are you a doctor? No, okay, you're an attorney." He goes, "But I've dealt with but you're not a doctor. But you're coming out."
I think that was Rand Paul.
It was Rand Paul. Sorry, it was Rand Paul.
Yep.
It was right. It was Rand Paul. And Rand Paul says, "But you're coming out with policy that's science-based, and you don't know anything about science. At least Rand Paul was an eye doctor, right? You're an attorney." He goes, "But I work."
He wasn't just an eye doctor; he was a surgeon.
He was a surgeon, right? He was a surgeon, so he was specialized. Yeah. But I mean, at least that's something along the lines. Somebody has like an opinion, or at least, and he's never thrown that out. I've been a doctor. We just know he was a doctor. He was a surgeon before he went to Congress.
That's it.
But again,
hello, Christina Johnson.
What's up, Christina? Good to see you.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. You know that thing on the Seinfeld where he goes, well, hello. Remember, it was like a whole sort of a thing. Look at this one here. This is one that Jason Carter says, if they didn't have enough of the evidence to win a lawsuit from the beginning, they shouldn't have filed the lawsuit. Now they're just wasting all the U.S. taxpayers' money with this donkey show. Yes, they certainly are, Jason Carter. That's exactly right. They really are. Now, let's watch it. I want to play this other video from Hester Peirce because why? Because it's the same thing. Now, if I'm Ripple's attorneys, I'm just going to queue these up. No clarity. Commissioner, right? And Roisman said the same thing, but let's listen to this short video.
Hi, Zach, and it's great to be with you.
This reminds me of the time we interviewed Quincy. Remember my boy Quincy? We had Quincy on. He was in the back of a car. I was like, yeah, Quincy's like in the back of a car. He's on his way somewhere, but he made room for the interview. And now we got Hester Peirce. She's in the back doing an interview with Yahoo Finance, Jeff.
That's awesome.
Right, so let's listen in.
It's hard to tell when an approval will happen. Each approval is obviously dependent upon the facts and circumstances of the application. But you're right, the Chair Gensler has now spoken out.
Did you see that? Did you see what she just did there? We had the Jason Carter, and now we have the Chair Gensler. You see that, Jeff?
Yep.
She called him the Chair Gensler, not the chairman, not the chairperson, not the whatever, the Chair Gensler. Sounds a little derogatory to me, but I don't know.
Said that he's open to the idea of a futures-based Bitcoin ETF. I think my concern is that we've been waiting a long time to get a Bitcoin or, perhaps even ETH-based exchange-traded product out there. There have been lots of applications, and a futures-based product is very different than a spot-based product. So I think it maybe has a different value proposition, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, the futures one, I think we've seen, in Canada, the futures tied mutual fund there only attracting about $15 million, I think, in assets under management in 2 months. Whereas for 45 days, we saw $1 billion attracted to the spot ETF. But I mean, when it comes to the consumer out there, a lot of this is about investor protections, right? So I mean, if you're adding costs, what should people maybe understand about futures over spot trading?
Well, I think that one thing that certainly Chair Gensler is thinking about is the futures market is a regulated market, much like the markets we're familiar with, whereas the spot markets in crypto are not regulated the way we're familiar with as stock market regulators. I've made the point that that's not necessary. Gold markets are also not regulated.
Yeah, we don't have to get into it. It's a long interview. It's like 10-minute interview. But the whole point is, a lot of the same stuff keeps coming out. There's a little bit of disagreement with Hester Peirce that, talking about a futures is very different. If some sort of a futures-based thing versus an exchange swap, you're talking about two different things, And so, Jeff, we got mixed sort of messages with press. We have one expert that says, or somebody knows somebody inside saying, yes, we see the ETF. There's 4 of them right now in the hopper. We see one of them being approved, maybe 2022 by the end of the year, right? Then we have other ones like, yeah, there you go. So go ahead and take this one here. This is interesting.
Chip, so this fits kind of. There's two parts of this based on what she's talking about. Number one, the SEC delaying their decision on approving the Bitcoin ETF again, pushing the deadline back 45 days as it mulls approval for the first ever U.S. crypto fund. But think about how long they've been talking about a Bitcoin ETF, and we're talking about like 2-3 years already, maybe more. And they keep kicking the can down the road, and here they go again, kicking it down the road one more time, and they just aren't able to get into this decision process. But here you have here you have an analyst from Bloomberg, Eric Balchunas. And he says, as the SEC kicks the article says, as the SEC kicks the can on the traditional Bitcoin ETF, the Bitcoin future equivalent is gearing up for likely approval, according to Eric. And he's saying that there's a 75% chance of approval of a futures for this month, for October. So he's saying here, let's see. He said the United States Bitcoin futures ETF are likely on schedule for regulatory green light, but we'll see. We'll see what happens because they keep kicking the can down the road on the ETFs in general. Why would they, pass a futures based ETF and not the other? So it's just, I don't know. It's he referred to SEC Chair Gary Gensler, who last week hinted at a permissive stance regarding the instruments. So do you think, this is just hope, that this is what's going to happen, or is Gary Gensler just going to continue pushing this out because I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, well, what's funny, here we hear Hester Peirce talking about, well, I don't necessarily know if I see a futures, but maybe more of a swap. Go ahead, take that.
You like that? Hester is sitting in Gensler's car. She's got jacked.
That is some funny stuff right there. That's why I love you guys, man. You come up with some really funny stuff. So, an ETF is just an exchange traded fund. And, according to the definition, just so if you guys know what this is, but this is an article out there that kind of sums it up nice. An exchange traded fund, an ETF, basket of securities, trade on exchange, just like a stock does. The ETF share price fluctuates all day as the ETF's bought and sold. It's different from mutual funds because they only trade once a day after the market closes. And then ETFs contain all type of investments, including stocks, commodities, or bonds. And that's a normal ETF, right? We're talking about a Bitcoin one. But again, I would be shocked, Jeff. And I'm wondering about the timing of this whole thing. Do you see them approving an ETF with the Ripple suit going on? They're going after Library and Odyssey. I would be shocked, and I understand that's why they're kicking it down the road.
I'd be shocked.
It's not going to bode well for them. They go, wait a minute, you just approved an ETF. Now, see, with Bitcoin, it's a little bit different because Bitcoin, there's no one to go after. Satoshi Nakamoto, if Gensler could,
he hasn't put anything out there that creates clarity at all for the space. How are they going to roll out the ETF when the rules of the road still are a little murky?
A little murky, Jeff. They're completely murky. They're like mud, just glossed over, right? They're just horrible. But anyway, guys, I want to let you go.
Check out Hex 19 real quick. SEC is single-handedly destroying America. I'm writing this for future historians to discover. We all know it's true. Appreciate that.
Well said, Hex 19. You're absolutely right. Destroying all the possibility. And do we really want Is this the best thing for the U.S. to chase out the innovation, the innovators, the people who are the brightest and the best, and attracting the brightest and the best from all other countries on the globe?
That's right.
It's a very simple answer, no.
So Chip, Jose over here is saying, what do you guys think about the XRPL issue tokens? And what I would say to that, and someone else had another question kind of in and around that topic, save those questions for tomorrow night.
Yes, absolutely.
Because tomorrow night we are going to have Hammertoe, as
Matt Hamilton.
You guys know, as Matt Hamilton as well from Ripple X. And we're going to discuss some of the XRPL related topics, as well as some of his feedback from the Apex conference that he attended. So I would highlight some of these comments and questions, like Huang also asked something in and around XRP. We can get into a really in-depth conversation about that tomorrow night. And for those that are talking about possible settlement with Ripple and the SEC, hold those questions, because on Thursday we are going to have attorney Jeremy Hogan and attorney John Deaton right here on the chain Thursday night. So we've got a packed week: Monday with Matt Hamilton, Thursday with Hogan and Deaton. So you guys don't want to miss that. So make sure you mark your calendars and make sure you're there live so you can ask the questions.
And Jeff, I know we're coming up on time, but I want to close with this. There's Matt Hamilton right there, principal developer advocate of Ripple X, interested in cryptocurrencies, blockchains, AI, ML, tinkering with a lot of internet of what is that? Internet of, I can't remember what the hell it says. Ex-IBM opinions my own, but I want to finish it on this right here, because I think this is important. Matt says, the motto I live by: there's always something you can teach. There's always something you can learn. Probably said by someone clever, but I don't know who. But again, that's it. And if you help somebody else grow, you teach, you learn, you teach, you learn. Man, everybody benefits, and it's a really nice way to kind of close the show. And very well said, Matt Hamilton. So that's all I have, Jeff. What do you want to launch into? Because
that's it. We're at the end here. So I just want to say, hey, you guys realize that we do stream Sunday through Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And again, if you're brand new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notifier. That way you get notified before we go live, and you get to remember. Also give that thumbs up. Come back tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, to hear from Matt Hamilton. Make sure you're here Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, for Jeremy Hogan and John Deaton. You guys are definitely not going to want to miss that. And we also have something stacked up here for Wednesday. We're trying to get that squared away, but then we'll be here with you guys on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday, and we're going to have a blast this week. So
yeah, we're having a lot of fun.
Then, Chip, that's what I got. And I'm looking forward to coming back here tomorrow night. How about you?
Well, guys, let's have a fun week together. We'll see you guys back here tomorrow night when Matt Hamilton is here. We're super excited about it. It's a real thrill for Jeff and I to have him on. He's extraordinary. So let's come out tomorrow night. Let's have a bunch of fun. Tell all your friends on Twitter, Facebook, wake your neighbors. People even say, hey, do you know Hammer Toes? I don't know who the hell Hammer Toes. You got to be there. That's all you got to know. So anyway, that's all we have. Yeah, just be there. Chip and Jeff out. Guys, we'll see you on the next one. Be good.
Let's go.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.